Welcome back. So today we're diving into something pretty interesting, how AI is stepping in to solve a huge relevance problem in modern faith. We're going to look at one platform that thinks it has the answer to bridging that gap.
Okay, so at the core of this whole thing is a problem that a lot of organizations are struggling with, especially churches. This quote really says it all. There's this big drop-off in engagement, and it's hitting Gen Z and millennials the hardest. It's created what you could call a massive relevance gap.
So that leads to the big question, right? What do you do when your message just isn't connecting anymore? How do you rebuild that bridge in a way that actually feels genuine? And, this isn't just a problem for churches. Tons of groups are trying to figure this out.
All right, to even start answering that, we've got to dig into what this crisis of connection really is. And spoiler alert, it's not just one thing. It's actually a few different problems all piling on top of each other.
So the source material breaks it down into three big hurdles. First up, you've got the one-size-fits-all problem, where a single message is supposed to work for absolutely everyone. Then there's the imitation trap, basically just copying whatever another successful group is doing and losing your own unique spark in the process. And finally, there's the context gap. This is a big one, where ancient wisdom feels, ancient and really hard to connect to your life today.
And that imitation trap, this quote just nails it. Nothing kills innovation faster than imitation. When organizations just copy each other, that unique thing that made them special just fizzles out. It becomes bland. And that is a huge reason for the relevance gap we're talking about.
Okay, so we've laid out the problems. Now, what about the solution? Well, this is where a platform called Life Stages comes in, and they're trying something totally different, with a specialized AI engine right at the center of it all.
Their whole strategy is based on something called a modular approach. Seriously, the best way to think about it is like playing with Legos. Instead of building one giant, clunky, all-in-one thing, you create a system using smaller, individual blocks. Each block does one thing really well, and you can swap them in and out. It's a huge shift from the old way of building these massive, rigid tech platforms.
And that's exactly what Life Stages does. The AI acts like the main base plate for all those Legos. It's the hub that lets them deploy these little targeted modules. And each module is custom built to solve one specific crisis, like the ones we were just talking about.
Okay, that's the big idea. But how does it actually work? Let's get into the nitty-gritty of how this whole thing functions. They start with a solid foundation, two core modules. First is the Sunday experience, which is all about the main weekly gathering, and the second is the daily experience, which is designed to keep that connection going all week long.
And this chart breaks it down perfectly. For the Sunday experience, the AI literally takes the pastor's sermon notes and turns them into personalized devotionals for each person. Pretty cool. Then for the daily experience, it takes something like a verse of the day and gives it personalized context so it actually means something to you and your life.
And how do they pay for all this? Well, the Daily Experience module is based on a really simple subscription. We're talking $12 a year. That's it. It's super low, which is smart because it gets a revenue stream going right away to help the platform grow on its own.
Now, one of the most brilliant parts of this strategy is making it incredibly easy to use. They call it a zero-friction model. Pastors don't have to learn some complicated new software. Nope, they just upload the sermon notes they're already writing. Making it that simple is absolutely key to getting people on board quickly.
But what about all that personalization? How do they get the data? Well, they're really smart about it. They use what they call a trust ladder. It's a step-by-step process. First, they just use broad stuff, like your age and gender. Then, once they've proven they can provide real value, once they've earned a bit of your trust, only then do they offer the option for deeper personalization based on what you're actually going through in life.
All right, so we see how it works. Now let's connect the dots. How do these features actually solve those three core problems we talked about at the start?
This slide right here, this is the aha moment. This is how they crush that one-size-fits-all problem. Look at this. Instead of one boring generic devotional for everyone, the AI can take a single sermon and spin out a totally unique devotional for a college student, another one for a new parent, and a completely different one for a retiree. And that's the secret sauce, isn't it? It's not about changing the core message. It's about tailoring the delivery so it actually lands with the person hearing it.
Next up, it tackles that context gap. The source material has this great phrase for it. It says the AI translates and hydrates complex scripture. So what does that mean? It means the AI can break down confusing church speak and dense text. It pulls out the main idea, and then it uses your context, your age, your struggles, to explain that idea with stories and examples that make sense in your world, right now. So you can see how this whole modular approach lets them start small but dream really, really big. It's a game plan that's built for the long haul.
And what's so clever about this is that because it's built in these little modules, Life Stages doesn't need some huge Silicon Valley investment to get off the ground. They can just launch with their two main products, prove they work, and start bringing in money to fund whatever comes next. They're basically paying for their own future.
So what could be next? Well, the source hints at another potential module, using AI to help run small groups. To solve that classic, painful, awkward silence that just kills so many digital meetings. It's a perfect example of this whole strategy in action. Find a specific problem, build a module to fix it. The possibilities are just endless.
And that really brings us to the final big picture question. Think about it. This whole idea of using targeted, swappable modules to solve specific problems, could this be a blueprint for more than just faith tech? I mean, could this modular, AI-driven model be the future for any kind of purpose-driven tech that's trying to tackle really deep human issues? It's definitely something to think about.